Hi friends, welcome to Upskill Academy. I'm starting a new playlist on Azure Cloud, especially focusing on Azure data engineering. So in this first video, we will discuss an introduction to the cloud and we will also understand what cloud computing is, the key feature of cloud platforms, different categories of cloud services and major cloud service providers. All right. So the first question is what is cloud computing? So the cloud computing is the technology that allows to use a computing services like servers, storages, databases, and analytics over the internet. That means on cloud. So anyone can access the services from anywhere on any devices without owning a physical hardware. It basically replaces the on-premise IT infrastructure cost. Earlier was what was happening before cloud computing introduced. Companies had to set up and maintain their own IT infrastructure and this was really expensive, required lot of effort, engineers and was not affordable for small companies because maintaining the hardware was so difficult. Because of cloud computing, things gets changed slowly. It made the setup and maintenance very easy and cost effective. So even a small businesses can afford it. And because of this benefit, more and more companies started adopting cloud computing. Today, the report shows that around 90 to 90% of the companies are already using the cloud service and they already migrated to the cloud servicing and using the cloud computing in some form. So let me tell you the simple explanation or example about the on-premises as well as cloud computing. By taking an example of car, buying a car, you can consider as on-premises and renting a car, you can consider as cloud computing. So ownership of buying a car, that means you need, if you want to buy a car, you first of all need to upfrontly spend some amount, right? So upfront cost is really high, very high investment while buying a car. But if you renting a car, if you rented a car from any application like Ola, Uber, or Rapido. So you don't require to pay the upfront cost. That means whatever the service you are using, you need to pay for only that services, which means renting a car works on pay as you go model. When you use, you need to pay it for it. All right. So you can consider about the example of on-premises server or buying a car. Once you buy a car, the entire maintenance you need to do by yourself. That means you have to handle the servicing, fuel, and repair cost. But if you rent a car, cloud provider takes care of all the maintenance. You don't require anything, right? Similarly, the scalability of on-premises server or or buying a car. Once you buy the car, you must upgrade or buy another car if there is a need of changes. Suppose you buy a car of 5 seater and you want to go outside with 7 8 people, right? So it is not possible for you to scale itself, but it is possible if you rented a car. You can easily book a 7 seater car and you can go outside, right? So there is a lot of flexibility in terms of uh, on cloud services compared to on premises. I'll take another example. You can consider an example about Netflix, which is a cloud-based platform. So you don't need to buy or store DVDs anymore. You just log in and enjoy the movies. Cloud computing works same here. You log in and you use the services without installing or owning physical infrastructure. That's the difference between cloud services as well as on-premises services. All right. So we'll discuss about now features of cloud. So there are a lot of features about the cloud like scalability, pay as you go, high availability and disaster recovery, cost efficiency and accessibility. So we'll discuss one by one. The first point is scalability. That means you can easily increase or decrease the resources based on the demand. Let me take an example. Whenever the e-commerce site adds more power during the festive season, right? Whenever there is a festive season, they can easily add more power to handle that much of users. So you can increase the resources as well as decrease the resources based on your requirement. The second features is pay as you go. So only you need to pay for what you use. For an example, like paying for mobile data. If you are using more, you need to pay more. If you are using less, you need to pay less. The third feature is high availability and disaster recovery. So data is backup across multiple location. Example, even if one server fail, your application continues to work. Now the fourth feature is cost efficiency. Like you need to pay a lower upfront cost and operational expenses in terms of cloud compared to on-premises. And accessibility. So cloud services can use the data and application from anywhere and any devices. Now we'll discuss about the categories of cloud services. So there the categories are mainly divided into three services. The first one is IaaS, which stands for Infrastructure as a Service. The second service is PaaS, which stands for Platform as a Service. And then the third service is Software as a Service. So infrastructure as a service, that means it provides the virtualized computing services like virtual machines. And here I take an example about on-premises, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So there are multiple services here which start from networking, storage, server, virtualization, operating systems, middleware, runtime, data, and application. So if you are going for on-premises, every services you need to manage, handle, and maintain. But in terms of infrastructure as a service, if you see here in a color, the color green shows that user or you need to manage it, and the color orange shows other manage. That means cloud service provider are managing these services. So in terms of infrastructure as a service, networking, storage, server, and virtualization can be managed by cloud service provider, and the rest of the things need to manage by user or organization itself. Similarly, in a platform as a service, more services like 80-90% of services is managed by cloud service provider, and only two services like data and application need to manage by organization or server owner. In terms of software as a service, entire thing can be managed by cloud service provider. Only the application which you are running can be managed by organization. Let's take an example of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So Azure virtual machine to host the website or application, just like renting a computer on internet, is an example of infrastructure as a service. So networking, storage, server, and virtualization can be provided by cloud provider, and you need to install the operating system, you need to maintain the middleware, runtime, data, and application on top of infrastructure as a service, right? And the example of platform as a service is Azure apps services, which directly deploy a web application without managing the server. And the best example of software as a service is, you can take an example of Gmail. So in terms of Gmail, what you have to do, you just have to log into the application and application start running. You don't require to install any application, you don't require to maintain anything, right? So entire things can be managed by cloud service provider in terms of software as a service. And what does mean by networking? So networking means connectivity, IP address, routing, firewall can be managed by in terms of on premises. We need to manage everything. So storage means data is stored, server means physical machines, virtualization means virtual machines, operating system on which application gets run like Windows operating system or Linux, Ubuntu, Red Hat, and CentOS. Middleware means software that connects the operating system and application. And runtimes, that means environment where code get executed like Java, Python, .NET, .NET Core, or Node.js. And data, that means actual business data, and application, that means your business logic and code. All right. I'll also take an example about the IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. That means infrastructure as a service, platform, and software as a service in terms of pizza as an example. So here, if you see, there are a lot of services like cheese, toppings, tomato sauce, pizza dough, fire, oven, electric gas, drink, and dining table. So in the traditional, that means on premises, everything you need to manage by your own. And here, if you are considering an example of infrastructure as a service, some services can be provided by vendor and some service we need to manage. Similarly, the same thing happen in terms of platform as a service as well as software as a service. Now we'll discuss about different cloud service provider. So there are a lot of cloud service providers in the market, but market shares of Azure, AWS as well as GCP are huge. Like these three companies market share is more than 62% and they are dominating the market. We'll discuss about the Azure cloud service provider now. In the Azure, which is a cloud platform which offers more than 200 plus services, including AI, analytics, storages, compute, database, server, and which is also highly integrated with Microsoft tools like Microsoft Operating System, Microsoft Office, SQL servers, and so on. The second cloud service provider, which is AWS. AWS is still largest cloud provider in the market and which are providing the services in computing, machine learning, storage, and more. So earlier, 4 5 years back, AWS market share was up to 37 to 38%, but now it is decreasing. Now it is 29%, and I'm talking about 2025 results. All right, and Azure market share was 16%. Now it gets increases, and it is increasing day by day. And GCP are also providing services on cloud platform. This statistic shows the overall market share for all the services. But day by day, Azure cloud services are growing rapidly because of its wide range of services and comparatively lower cost. So in the next 2 to 3 years, it wouldn't be surprising if Azure's market share grows closer to or even beyond AWS. And definitely it would happen in some year. Also, if you are focusing on data related jobs like data analytics, data science, data engineer, or AI ML side, I would say Azure is the best choice because of multiple reasons. So, the Azure belongs to Microsoft and which was invented in 1975, all right, which is the oldest player in the market. This is the first reason. Now, Microsoft also introduced their SQL server to work on the data in year 1989. That means before more than 36 years ago, they have introduced the SQL server to handle the data. So they are very older player in terms of data. And also 95% of Fortune 500 companies using Microsoft product across the globe. More than 95%. Not only this, globally, more than 72% of the computers are running on Windows operating system. That is the huge market share, isn't it? And not only this, even though if you search the job of data engineer on the Naukri platform, you will find maximum job on opening only for the Azure side, not only for AWS as well as GCP combinedly. So let me share this. If I'm checking Azure data engineer jobs, you will find this much of result. All right, and if I'm finding data engineering jobs related to AWS, you will find only that much of number. And similarly, if I'm finding the data engineering job in terms of GCP, all right, so you can find only that much of result. So combinedly, even though if you combine GCP as well as AWS job, there are relatively very smaller job compared to Azure. Azure is having a huge opening still now in the market. That's why Azure is dominating. So learning Azure, I would say, is the best choice if you are focusing on data engineer or data analytics or data science job. So I hope this video gives you a clear idea about cloud computing, its features and different cloud service categories. If you found this video helpful, please like, share and subscribe to the Upskill Academy channel. Thank you for watching.